I think it's going to be scary. Tim Legler with us now on SportsCenter. Tim, so Simmons feeling confident about this team with the Nets. What's the key for him to get back on track and get this team back on track here at the rest of the regular season, getting ready for the playoffs?
Yeah, well, Kevin, with all the noise surrounding Ben Simmons and what we saw last summer against Atlanta and everything that's transpired since, I think sometimes people forget the value that he does bring. And this is a guy now that's going to come into a system. He's going to create pace. And that's not something that Brooklyn typically plays with. Even when James Harden was on the floor, he's not a guy that's looking to push it up and try to get easy shots in transition against backpedaling defenders. That's what Ben Simmons does. This is one of the fastest guys in the league end to end. He can take it off the glass and go. He makes guys want to run harder. He's going to find you at the three-point line or at the rim in transition as a playmaker. The other thing I think is a big benefit, we know he's a great defensive player, but what does that exactly mean for this team? It means he can take on whatever the hottest scorer is in a given moment. And that's going to take pressure off KD. It's going to take pressure off of Kyrie to have to guard those elite perimeter scorers and help keep them out of foul trouble. So he has a lot of value. The big question is going to be, does he have his confidence back offensively? Because that is still something that's an issue for him, and it's something that the Brooklyn Nets are going to find out at some point, probably pretty soon after he takes the court. He's wired a little bit differently in terms of his aggressiveness as a scorer. That's something they've got to work around. But make no mistake, he does make guys better around him.
Excellent point. We will see how that plays out. Now, Simmons and Harden, they're not expected to make their debut until after the All-Star break, but Doc Rivers, Sixers head coach, was asked earlier this hour about Harden's fit with his team. Take a listen.
I think it's a pretty easy combination. James Harden and Joel Embiid in the pick and roll. James Harden coming off Joel Embiid. James Harden being the post passer to Joel Embiid. James, today can I work with the second, third group even at the shoot arounds to go over everything to try to get my rhythm. So everybody's motivated. That's good.
Okay, Harden teaming up with the MVP favorite right now in Embiid, who's been on an absolute tear of late. He's scored at least 25 points in every game going back to Christmas. That's 23 straight games. So how will Harden's arrival now impact Embiid and this current offense?
Well, first and foremost, let's just talk about what James Harden does possession by possession, and that's command attention from multiple defenders. You can't play this guy with one person because he's such a threat from all over the floor, and he breaks you down and gets into the paint at will. So that means more activity directed at James Harden. That means more space for Joel Embiid, whether that's going to be on plays where he gets a lob at the rim or a pocket pass if they run two-man game, or if Joel Embiid wants to pick and then pop back. He's going to have more space to operate. He's never played with a guard with this kind of firepower offensively and what James Harden can do to control the game. So Joel Embiid is going to find, I think, the game easier for himself. But listen, they've got to figure out an ebb and a flow to this offense in terms of who's an alpha on a given possession. Joel Embiid, we know, has probably been the MVP in the league to this point. I think the offense still needs to run through him primarily, but you don't bring in James Harden to be a guy to just feed Joel Embiid. You bring him in because he can also break down defenses in a way that no one else in the league can. So they've got to work that out. It could be some growing pains, but ultimately, James Harden is just going to make the game easier for a guy that's already been sensational all season.
And Embiid has never played with a shooter like this in his entire career. It will be fascinating to see. Legs, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.